let's get down to a person I've been trying to get on for 5-6 months, which she's been going through France, Miss Wendy Jaeger.
Hold your hands. Is he gonna go ahead, say it.
First off, Wendy,
yes.
as we go. First of all, you used to be a lawyer.
I was.
And what happened? You always had a love affair with France.
I've been going over there since I was a child. Every summer I spent the time there with my family and fell in love with the country, fell in love with food, and eventually just expanded that, developed an interest in wines, and decided that I wanted to turn it into a business.
And you were, was that a little crazy though, 2003?
It was a little crazy, and it was a bad time probably to start an international business given what was happening in the world, but in the end it was a good time because there wasn't a lot of competition and there were a lot of people who were open to exploring new ideas, culinary vacations, wine vacations, training chefs, stages, those sorts of things.
Wow.
And so we had a lot of access to things. We didn't have a lot of Americans going over there at that time. And so that made me unique, and it probably helped in developing a lot of the friendships and relationships that I have there now.
Right, and like I said, someone nurtured beforehand through your travels through France and your love for the country.
Yeah.
Where exactly do you go though?
Well, we spend a lot of time in the summer season in Provence, and we spend Septembers in Burgundy for the harvest, which is spectacular. And we spend April in Bordeaux, and we're expanding to Barcelona and San Sebastian. And of course, we always go to Paris. So that's always an option to put at the beginning or an end of a trip.
So not only do you get to do the job, you also get the vacation. I mean, you get the experience.
A lot of what we do is because of my relationships. In fact, that is what we do. So traveling with Bliss Travels is like having a good friend who's extremely well connected,
Right.
who can take you around. So sure, you get the sort of white tablecloth experience and go to dinner with a Michelin-starred chef and he prepares something new and sits at your table. But also, and probably even more interesting from my perspective, you go into somebody's home or you have an authentic experience in a farm where you're eating goat cheeses and the farm animals are running around and you're spending time with the family. So there's depth. It's not just about what you can throw money at.
Right,
In a lot of
right.
cases, it's really not at all about that. It's more about the relationships that you make, and that's what really makes travel interesting and what makes the world interesting.
That's what I think. So yeah, you're not a tourist. You're an adventurer, a cultural adventurer.
I sure hope so.
It's a challenge for a person looking to visit a country to go in there and say, well, I want to have interesting experiences without having been there, without having those connections.
It's very challenging, and what that used to mean for people was throwing money at the situation.
Yeah.
Oh, if I've got
Go to
the
King
Amex
George.
Platinum, or if I've got the whatever card, or if I know so-and-so, I can buy my way into it. And so people used to do that, and they would just amp up the luxury level. But really, there's so much more to the world than just throwing another truffle on the dinner table.
Or if we think of France, we think, oh, go to Paris.
Right.
Well, there's more to France than Paris.
Oh,
It's kind of like New York and the United States.
Right.
Yeah.
Paris is wonderful, but Paris is the New York of France, and there are stunning 1,000-year-old ruins and 1,500-year-old churches that are at the top of gorgeous villages that have been outlooks and bastions that have protected the French or even the people who were in France before the French from invaders, and you have just an amazing history and a mix of culture that.
All in a country the size of Texas, different
Right.
valleys, different food.
And that's something people
Right.
don't understand, that you can get somewhere in 2-3 hours, whereas here it's a full day, event.
Now, looking on your website, though, I love your
Yes.
website. You got a blog, you got tips, you have food, you have the pictures. Good, whoever takes your photos. is
Oh,
very good.
Anthony Bianciella takes amazing photographs
Mixed
for us.
advertising. What do you mean by exclusive access or insider vacations? You mentioned some of it, though, already.
What I mean is that you can't buy it. You have to know somebody. So when you walk into some village that has 27 full-time residents and you knock on a door and the husband opens the door and the wife has an apron on and you and your 6 or 7 companions are invited in, that's what we do. You can't find much of what we do without
Right.
somebody in the know, but B, even if you could find it, you wouldn't get access to it.
So it's authentic, but what about is it still, you still get the hot water, the lodgings, the fine,
Oh,
everything, the food?
everything that we do is very high caliber. We do lodging, whether it's Paris or the countryside, in privately owned boutique properties, small privately owned inns. When we do our wine trips, they're stunning properties owned by winemakers We have one that's sitting above 14th century cellars of the winemaker, and it's furnished with original antiques. This is not roughing it.
Okay, so the spoiled American can still get the authentic countryside at the same time, not have to worry about hot water running out.
I constantly hear from my clients that they're more than impressed by where they stay. Absolutely. You have all of the amenities.
What's the most biggest misconception? What do people ask you before they go? What questions are they asking you, though?
Well, they ask what you just asked, which is, you know, are we going to have
Very
our own
American,
bathroom? Are we going to have air conditioning? Will there be a pool in summer in Provence? Well, of course. You know, of course we're going to provide that. And then I think they don't really understand a lot of times, if they haven't traveled with us, the tremendously high quality of what we provide, whether it is a rustic lunch at the countryside or dinner with a Michelin-starred chef or a wine tasting. Those are all things that are of a level that you simply can't experience in this country.
And what I like about your website, too, you encourage people to educate themselves a little bit before they even go. Not that, you know, you can still take them by the hand, you can still give them that nice warm, you know, personal treatment, but you also want them to kind of strike out on their own if they can.
Absolutely. I mean, I encourage people all the time who come on our trips, say to Provence, for example, spend 5 nights with us in Provence, maybe add on a couple of nights in the Mediterranean, but then go spend some time on your own, because you'll have your sea legs, so to speak, at that point. You'll know a little bit about the culture. You know how to find your way around. You should explore and have a good time. We aren't a tour company where we're going to have a bus or we're going to take you at 9 a.m. to get on, you know, some sort of transport and keep you busy all day long. Nothing we do has more than 12 people. So everything's very small, and we encourage people to learn about the area or engage in some activity they love, whether it's hiking or wine tasting or meals or cooking or going to the Provençal markets, and then to have some fun on their own. But we're there to provide the translation, or we're there to provide the next activity or that next level experience.
For anyone with cultural, should I say, cultural nightmares, your French is very good. So if something happens, you know about the French culture, the French police, whatever, immigration, their sense of grandiose and large.
That's where the law degree from the past comes in handy.
Gotcha.
How long did it take you to figure this out? It takes a lot of familiarity with the country.
It does.
To be able to pull this off.
It does.
And ask about prices.
I mean, I don't know. Could we
ask about prices too?
You ask about prices.
Go on.
Actually, it does take a lot of familiarity, and it took me years. There is not a single place I put a client in that I haven't been. There's not a single chef that I work with that I haven't spent significant time with myself. When I invite people to come to a chef's home in Paris, for example, which we're doing this Christmas, and he'll be doing tasting plates and people have wine tastings, I know him.
Did you expend years?
He won't be lecturing us going like, you do not make movies.
No.
In your trips to France, I mean, before you started the business, would you go over there and sort of develop, deliberately develop a knowledge which was going to let you do what you do now?
I spent a good 3 years doing that.
3 years?
Every single village that I take people to, I went to
You've
first.
been there, you've had
repeatedly.
We got to get the price, though.
Prices, yes. Prices are very fluid and flexible. I deal with people who, this is one of many trips they have per year, and they want to do it up, and I deal with people where it's once in a lifetime, and I like both groups. So we work with people to tweak lodging or wines or meals so that it fits people's budgets.
When you visit a country that's not France, what countries do you like to go to?
I'm very excited by what we're doing in Barcelona, in Spain, and San Sebastian right now.
Okay.
Love Brussels, but to some degree I consider that part of France. I know the Belgians don't, but and I love Amsterdam. So those are places that we go.
The French fries. But I have to say, well, how can they reach you if they want to call you personally or your website?
Yes, website is www.blisstravels.com.
Travels with an S.
With an S on the end, and they can reach me directly at wendy@blisstravels.com. We're all over the internet. We are selling on wine sites, and it's just contact us.
And I got to say one thing about Wendy, though. You might have some preconceived notions that the French are haughty, hard to deal with. She knows everything about the French. She's a francophobe or francophile.
Francophile, most
definitely. But she's very accessible and very easy to talk to. So I would go.
Well,
she can tell when they're lying.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Wendy Jaeger, and that's Bliss Travels, and we'll be right back.